Welcome back, humans of the internet, and welcome back, Kaya, who's back from London. Give it up for Kaya, everybody. Okay, so in this episode, Kaya and I sit down and talk about money. More specifically, what your money system should look like, how should you be spending your money, and where can you be more disciplined with it. So if you're a fan of completely unqualified people speaking about topics that they are complete amateurs in, enjoy episode 283 of Freshly Grounded.
And welcome to Freshly Grounded, the brand new podcast.
Well, it's not exactly brand new anymore, is it?
Welcome to Freshly Grounded, the podcast.
That's better.
Created by best friends Faisal and Sam.
Huh?
I said welcome to Freshly Grounded.
After that bit.
Created by
After that bit.
best friends Faisal and Sam.
Really?
Right, assalamu alaikum. We are joined in the building with Mr. Unks.
Oh yeah.
We need
okay.
to change that. We need to find your vetting name. But we're joined by Kaya. Walaikum, bro. How you doing, bro? You're back from the UK, back from London. How was it? You were missed 3 weeks without you, but you're back in the building.
Alhamdulillah, man. London was Londony.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
It feels good to be back?
It feels good to be back. Good to see family. Good to be back. Good to be back in the routine. Yeah, alhamdulillah. I'm happy, man.
Are you happy for your daughter? Because I think when you become a parent, you think through the lens of your children, don't you?
Right.
And sometimes you're like, I just want her to be in routine. Do you feel like that she's home? Do you feel happy for her?
There's two sides of that. So I'm slightly unhappy and sad because she genuinely enjoys all the time with her family.
Okay.
Like both her grandparents, her cousins, her uncles and stuff. So she really enjoys that time. But she does need to get back into routine. I think there's two sides of it. Like again with me as well. Like spending time with my family, I enjoy it. But me getting back into my routine, work routine, personal routine, it's not feasible, bro, to go away for like 4 weeks at a time and just like not do, just like literally socialize and entertain for like 4 weeks. It's really difficult. So for a baby as well, I feel like it's the same. Like she needs to sort of like get out of like total socialization mode. And like, for example, yesterday, my wife sat down with her for the first time for ages and just like read her book or like taught her stuff. Whereas when you're away, you don't really do that much. It's more like, oh, we're just playing with your cousins or playing with your uncles. So I feel like a bit of her routine's coming back, which is good for her in another way.
Was it nice for you and your wife to not have to give all of your attention to Aya all the time though? Because there's grandparents and cousins to help look after. Like
that
she's
is nice.
Busy.
That is one of the pros of being there for sure.
Yeah, I find that as well.
Yeah, but again, me and my wife are both very introverted. We after a while of like socializing, we need a break. Yeah, so like
my wife's like that.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite.
Yeah.
I
mashallah.
need to be around people all the time. I could not get enough.
Yeah. I
could go out with people and then be like, oh, come over to mine. And the only reason I don't do that is because I want to be respectful and empathetic with my wife. I know that drains her energy. Yeah. Not that like she would be busy, I guess, like because like even like for example, if I've got all my friends around, that's a different story, I suppose. If like my friends are around and she's upstairs, but I suppose like more with family and stuff, I try and be wary of that.
Yeah, for me, it's let's say it drains me. It's more the fact that I just need. I guess it does drain. I need alone time.
You need to recharge.
I need to recharge.
You recharge by being alone.
Yeah, I do.
I recharge by being with people.
Fine. Yeah, I need to be alone. Which is why you saw about my co-working space. I've made it so like I'm by myself at nighttime because like that's how I get my alone time. I could just sort of like think, do nothing. So I need that. And when you're like 4 weeks, we live like half of the time with my parents, half the time with my in-laws. We're mixing with cousins and uncles and what have you, like all the time. So you never actually get alone time.
Yeah.
And that's tiring. Even though you're enjoying the time with the people, my routine, which usually allows for me to have like at least like an hour or two of alone time a day, now doesn't. And it's like, that does take a toll on you. But yeah, alhamdulillah.
I find I need alone time like once every like 4 weeks.
What do you do in your alone time though?
When I say like you know, like you need like an hour or two.
Yeah.
I need an hour or two like once every 4 weeks.
Yeah. Don't you feel like, I don't know, I feel like I need to go like and talk to myself and like just like speak out loud or brainstorm out loud or just analyze whatever happens in a day. And sometimes just to be weird, to be frank. Like for example, in my office, I'll be a bit transparent here. Like I'll just be weird, bro. Like in a sense that like I don't want other people around me to like. Sometimes I'll just be doing a task. You know when you finish a task, yeah, and you get like a little bit of a high.
Yeah.
I might just shout.
Yeah.
like just like a woo, like something weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just weird stuff like that.
You just be completely yourself.
Yeah, and it's hard to do that. Like, I can do that with other people, but I just enjoy doing that by myself.
Yeah, I think the reason, one of the big things that probably affects it is that I do spend the majority of my time alone by force.
Right.
Because I'm working and I'm working myself.
So maybe do you think if you didn't have that, you would start craving that?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I do, like I said, once every like few weeks, like to have like an evening to myself.
Yeah.
And I got that the other day for the first time again in maybe like 4 weeks. And it was nice. It was like what did I do? I watched the Wimbledon final.
Okay.
Because that was on. And that was nice because the nice thing is that in Dubai, we're 3 hours ahead of UK. That's nice for a few reasons. One, because I'm a morning person. When I'm up in the morning, it's like, 3 a.m. for everyone in the UK.
Yeah.
So I can get like loads of work done before they even start their day. And obviously all my work is still UK based.
Yeah.
So they're waking up to like my fresh emails and stuff like that. And I can kind of like crack on with like, I'm not thinking like, oh, I've got to do this by this time and this by this time.
Right.
So that's nice. And then the second reason is because stuff like Wimbledon, which is at 2 p.m. in the UK, it's on at like 5 p.m., 6 p.m. here.
Yeah.
So the kids were in bed and it was like 7 o'clock at night and I was watching Wimbledon, which was kind of nice.
Yeah.
I watched Wimbledon and then I ended up just coming upstairs and going to sleep, I think. It was just nice to do that.
All right, granddad.
I was like scrolling on my phone.
I watched Wimbledon and I went to sleep. Yeah. That sounds like a good night in.
You know what? I do like alone time, bro.
Yeah.
Generally, like across the board, watching sports. I like watching sports alone.
Yeah, that's fair. I so do I actually. Like a lot of the time.
I don't feel like, I need vibes to watch. Like I need the boys around. Like actually like concentrating and like, like just feeling the emotions of the sport and like concentrating. And imagine like you're watching a sport and you're into it and someone's distracted. Do you know why it is? Because sports, for me, watching sport is complete distraction for my life. I can't relate to it in any way, shape, or form because I'm not a sports person. It's competitive. So I'm like, what's going to happen? And it's entertainment and you're always watching it, so you're kind of you're not thinking about business and stuff. It's quite a nice escape for an hour.
Yeah, I do the same actually. And some people asked me before, like, why don't you go and find like a non shisha place to like watch the football, like because there are some places you can go, like restaurants and stuff, where they just like they'll show the game.
Yeah.
So you can sit down with a meal and like watch the game. But for me, it's like I prefer to just like watch Arsenal on like in my office or like whatever. And I just prefer that, where it's just like one-on-one, like a personal thing. Not personal, you know what I mean? But yeah, I do sometimes get the urge to go and watch it in an environment with other people. Sometimes, but that's rare. My default is like just me.
I do feel like the World Cup I want to watch with people.
Yeah, we should do. I mean, I have a feeling there's going to be interesting ways to do that here, like in the cinemas. Because the Champions League final here this year was in the cinemas.
Yeah.
So I think if that's the case, we should definitely do that.
I think we should do maybe for one match, but I don't know how much me watching it with loads of strangers in the cinema excites me. What I would like to do for the World Cup is just have the boys around my house.
Fine.
Ordering desserts and takeaways.
Just scrap my idea totally. Horrible.
Yeah. No, we'll do it once.
Yeah.
Okay?
If we have to.
No, I like the idea of trying it. I don't know how much to enjoy it.
When I say cinema, like...
And I like being a host.
Yeah.
So I like people coming around my... Do you know why I like being a host? Because then when everyone leaves at the end of the day, I can just go upstairs and go sleep. I don't have to travel home.
Yeah.
Don't you ever think about that? Okay, so I want to speak to you about a topic, right? Like today. I thought it'd be nice to do like a topic-based episode.
Yeah.
So the topic on my mind it's about personal finances. Money is something that every single person in this entire planet can relate to because it's a relationship you have to have. You have to have a relationship with money, okay? And recently, I was thinking about doing a YouTube video for this, but I haven't yet done it. I haven't scripted or anything. So I'll just talk to you about it on the podcast unscripted. So I've noticed that people either in my life or that I watch online or I've been able to like see like a breakdown of how they manage their life and stuff. So very wealthy people, I should say, in my life or that I've seen online, I've noticed that the successful ones do things with money that I would never expect. I'm going to tell you 3 things to set the tone for this discussion. Thing one is and they're three different things. One is like just something I saw, one is actual personal experience, and one is like an experience I watched of somebody else. So the thing that I saw, which is probably the weakest of them all because it's just a tweet, it was a tweet, it was a quote, and someone wrote something like, poor people, or something like, not poor people, but like use synonym for poor, because the word wasn't as extreme as poor, but something like poor people buy designer clothes to look rich, rich people buy normal clothes because they don't care about how they look, something like that. And I think there's some truth to it and some not truth to it. I have seen very odd people buy designer clothes, to be fair. So like Along Sam, for example, he runs a very successful business. He's no stranger, just like he enjoys good clothes.
Yeah.
And so I get that, but I do still think that the sentiment of what that tweet was trying to get across is correct, that you do get people who are not in the financial position to really have the disposable income to buy a £200 t-shirt, buying a £200 t-shirt. And sometimes they do that just because of how they look. So that's thing one. Thing two is obviously I've been very blessed to grow my network through Freshly Grounded. And so some of those people in that network are like very wealthy individuals, businessmen, sports people, and so on and so forth. And so I've been able to spend a lot of time with these people. And what I've realized with these people is that they have this great balance of being extremely generous, yet they're not dumb with money, right? Like, they wouldn't necessarily, if they're flying from one place to another place it's a 1 hour flight, they're not going to pay £3,000 for first class ticket for 1 hour flight. They'll just pay £300 and get economy because it's an hour. Whereas in my broke head, I'm going, bro, if I've got that level of money, even if it's for an hour, I'm always flying first class. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So then that's like, that's eye-opening. Thing three is I watched a video of, there's a guy from Shark Tank. It's not Mark Cuban. It's the guy that's like got like a bald head, hair on the side, old white guy. Anyway, very wealthy, multi-millionaire. He's on Shark Tank as a shark, right? He was analysing a person's spending habits. And so it was like one of those stitched TikTok kind of videos where like you're on one side watching something and you're reacting to it. And so he was reacting to it. And the person was like, I don't spend money on coffees out because that's a waste of money. And then this Shark Tank guy was like, this is great. I completely agree with it. It's like spending money on coffees out is such a silly thing to do. You're paying $5 for a coffee, £5 for a coffee, when you can have it at home for a fifth of the price. And it's coffee and you get your caffeine intake. And then the guy whose video it was like, and I never buy designer clothes, kind of thing. And then this shark was like, well, that I disagree with. I think that there's advantage in buying really high quality clothes that last longer, that can, like, for example, you look good in, and that you could take to business meetings and so on and so forth. He didn't say all of that. I've danced around it a bit. I've added some juice to it. Okay, so they're the three things. That's the context. So now my question to you is, and what I want to discuss with you on this podcast is, and I do believe it's subjective and individual to a person's like wants and needs, but where do you think, first of all, do you agree that no matter how much money you have, because both some of these people are multi-millionaires and they're like, I'm not going to pay a first class flight. Yeah. So do you first of all, do you agree that regardless of how much money you have, you should still have some self-discipline and morals just because of the principle of things? Yeah. And then secondly, if yes, then where do you think that line is? Like, do you think that's on like not buying coffees out, or do you think that's on not buying nice cars, or do you think, yes, buy nice cars, but then don't buy this? Like, where is the if I'm buying this, then I'm not buying that?
Fine. You said something interesting as well about the whole flight thing. Is that one person you knew about who said, like, no matter how much money I've got, that spending like 20 grand on a first class flight is just dumb.
So I asked him, by the way, about that.
Okay.
And I said, he said, it's not about whether I can, because I said you can afford it.
Yeah.
And he goes, it's not about whether I can afford it.
Yeah.
He said, I don't look at whether I can afford something. I look at, is something worth it?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he goes, if I'm going a 2-hour flight and I spend that much,
Yeah.
I'm not looking at, do I have the money in the bank? I'm looking at, is that a good value for money?
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's amazing. And I don't think like that, bro.
Yeah, I think that's really good, and I took a lesson from that, because that's true. Even if you've got millions, yeah,
Is it
20,
good value,
20
yeah.
grand on a 7-hour flight, when you could do the same flight for £300, or even if you want to be a little bit bougie and get like a £3,000 for business, that's still a lot of. There's a huge difference for the same flight. So I can definitely see there. First class seems dumb in most circumstances, quite frankly. Maybe if you want to try it once, but even if you're a millionaire, it seems quite dumb even then. Even though you do the whole thing where it's like, okay, to a multimillionaire, a first class flight is actually the equivalent of a Snickers bar to their wealth. But even then, it just all that does is really tell you how much money they have. It doesn't mean that they should they go and spend 20 grand on a Snickers bar then? Because a Snickers bar is not worth 20 grand, is it?
Right.
They could do it,
yeah.
but they wouldn't, because
Sure.
so. You know, you have to figure out, like, is a first class flight really worth it? If it's a 24-hour flight, then yeah, fine. But my point is, right, where that balance is, or where that line is, I've been thinking about that too. I feel like if you're somebody who keeps, like, not overspending, but keeps, like, going for that high-end thing in every aspect of your life, that might be a problem, because now it might be a fact of, like, you're living beyond your means for the sake of it, or to look good, or whatever it may be, instead of just living, not beyond your means, but like instead of like treating yourself where you actually genuinely want to be treated. Do you know what I mean? So I'll give you an example for myself. I don't feel guilty to go out and get a coffee. I've told myself that, and I don't. I like going out and getting a coffee. It costs maybe £5 a coffee, but I enjoy it. Genuinely, it brings me joy. I like going to coffee shops. I like going to new coffee shops. I like seeing the baristas like pour it. They've got different types of coffee and stuff. I enjoy the process. I enjoy the cups. I enjoy the latte art. I enjoy the whole process. So for me, it's very much worth it, and it brings joy to my life, quite frankly. So that's one thing I never feel guilty about. Whereas other people are, I won't get a £5 coffee. That is something I've said. No. That is a way I treat myself, and I don't mind spending that money. Similarly, to an extent, is eating like nice food. Every now and again, I won't feel guilty to go and eat out somewhere. I'm not saying like, 5-star fine dining all the time, or even ever, or very, very rare I'll go to like a fine dining restaurant. But a half decent restaurant where I'll go out a couple of times a week, I won't feel guilty about that. Or a takeaway maybe. I won't feel guilty about it, because this is one way I treat myself. Whereas in other aspects of my life, I won't go into too much detail, but I'm quite like strict on where I spend money, because okay, if I spend money over on this thing, I haven't got like an urge to do it anyway. It's not going to really change my life much. It won't bring much joy to do it. I could go and spend a bit more, and I'd look better. I would maybe drive a nicer car, faster car, but it doesn't really I ain't got the urge to do that.
It's just a desire.
It's a desire where it's like, it would be nice, but it genuinely, it would just be nice. Do you know what I mean? Whereas like my coffees and my eating out, that's like a thing that I genuinely enjoy, and it brings me happiness regularly.
Yeah, so my point is that by you not having, discipline's a bad word, right? Because you do have discipline, but by you not having, indulgement is a better word. By you indulging in coffee,
Yeah.
the opportunity cost of that is that then you choose not to indulge in another desire, right?
Yeah.
I think my conclusion has been that that's the right way of doing it. So everybody, what people spend money on for their desires, right, is subjective. What people desire is subjective. But I think that it seems like the successful people have got the following formula. If I spend money on this desire, where am I being then disciplined on another desire?
Yeah.
So if you look at, for example, someone who buys designer clothes, subjectively they enjoy that. So if I'm spending on designer clothes, then I need to not spend on nice cars, for example.
Yeah.
So like that's the layoff.
Yeah.
And so then that got me thinking about where would I enjoy and not enjoy, where would I want to, how would I ideally want to have a relationship with money? So
I would say like I have quote unquote chosen the two things that genuinely I enjoy most. So that's what everyone should do. Like it shouldn't be like, I'll discipline on this, on that. It's like just like a toss up. No. Pick the two things that you like. Okay, I really like cars. Like I'm a petrol head. All I do is watch car videos. All right, so go and buy yourself a nice car that you can afford. But then don't go and get the coffees, or don't go and eat out too much, or don't spend on designer clothes, because that's not even your passion anyway.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
There's definitely something innately wrong with or it seems there's something wrong with indulging in every desire. Even Islamically, perhaps.
You're not passionate about all these things in your life.
Yeah.
You're not passionate about the gym and cars and clothes and coffee and eating out. You're not passionate about all 5 things. You might be passionate about 3 of those 5, maybe. And even at a push, it's like the top 2 are like going to actually, bring real enjoyment to your life, like in a long-term basis. And there's other things as well, like on top of that, like additional things you could spend money on, right? So you should probably choose. People should probably choose, and I'm talking myself here as well because I haven't done this properly. Like it's just like it's kind of worked out this way, but I could definitely still work on this. Pick 2 or 3 things in your life where it's like I will still be smart with how I spend money there, but I won't have guilt about that, and I'll free up money to spend on that by not spending on cars because when I think about it, I really don't care what car I'm driving. I just care what people think about what I'm driving.
Yeah, that's
you know
how
what
I feel as well. Yeah.
So if you can just admit that to yourself and just be like, okay, I genuinely don't mind that I'm driving my current car or whatever car I've got, or a car that costs, £3,000 versus 30. If I genuinely don't mind that, now I've got loads of money to spend on coffee. I love coffee.
Yeah.
I've got loads of money to spend on coffee.
Yeah, you're not spending 27 grand on
exactly.
coffee. Yeah.
And it's like, I can do it not only can I go get my coffee now, I can do it guilt-free.
Yeah.
And when people mention on like YouTube, $5 coffee, which has become quite a thing now, don't spend money on $5 coffee. I can say I can actually because I made smart decisions elsewhere in my life. I rented somewhere a bit cheaper, or I got a car that's a bit cheaper, or I buy my clothes.
Or I take the tube and I don't drive.
Exactly. I buy my clothes from this shop instead of this designer shop, and it's still good quality and I like it. And because of that, I can have that guilt-free meal out 3 or 4 times a week, or a coffee every day, and it's guilt-free, and I'm actually saving money because I've decided, no, my money's going to go towards designer clothes because that's what I'm passionate about. I love designer clothes. I don't even like coffee. I stopped by to get a coffee because all my workmates do it. And I just really feel like I get coffee. Don't get the coffee, and don't get the great food. If you like just KFC, cool. Very limited money to spend there, and now you've got more money to spend on like Gucci because you like it. You know what I mean? So you can spend. Obviously, that's a bit of a different thing, but you can choose where to spend your money and be disciplined elsewhere, and it should become easy because you've actually chosen the top 1 or 2 things that you love anyway.
Yeah, I'm having this discussion because I've been really inspired by people I've had conversation with and also stuff I've seen online, and it's surprisingly shocked me that the wealthiest individuals actually have really great discipline with where they spend the money on the small minor things that we think, when you're that rich, you don't care about spending X, Y, Z, right? And so another 2 examples that come to mind. So one of my wealthy friends, I was recommending him the Ring doorbell.
Right.
And he goes to me, how much is it? And I was thinking, £70 is not going to hurt you. But bro, that makes it sound like the guy is stingy. This guy will buy his mum a car.
Yeah. See,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So so it's not that he's stingy. He just got the balance right.
Yeah.
He's going £70 on a Ring on doorbell. My doorbell's fine.
Yeah.
But then when it's like, mum needs a car, all right, cool, let's sort mum out with a nice car. So that's one example. And another example, this one's a funny one, right? I think this is Alex Hormozy, but I was trying to look for the clip yesterday, I just couldn't find it. So I'm going to say it was Alex Hormozy, and forgive me if it was wrong, if I'm quoting the wrong person. It could have also been Patrick Bet David, because at the time that I came across this video, they're the 2 guys' content I was consuming at the time. So bro, this guy, multi-millionaire, and he goes, I don't buy shower gel, I buy bars of soap.
Right.
But shower gel is what, £3? In London, shower gel is £1.
Yeah.
In Dubai, is that an alarm going on?
It sounds like it.
Let me go check because I've got a candle as well.
That.
Hey guys, just a quick interruption from this week's episode to say,
we spoke about childhood trauma.
Yeah, we did speak about childhood trauma. We shot an episode of Freshly Grounded's Inner Circle, which we do every single week, because every single week we give you an extra episode of Freshly Grounded, and that episode is on the Inner Circle.
It is freshlygrounded.com/inner circle.
And in this week's one, we spoke about childhood trauma.
We did.
Yeah. So check that out at freshlygrounded.com/inner circle. Extra episode of Freshly Grounded every single week. And let's get back into the episode.
Now it sounds like someone using a leaf blower.
Yeah, it's like a Hoover or garden or something.
Yeah.
So bro, so the dude goes, he goes, multi-millionaire. To give context, in London, I remember shower gel is about £1. In Asda, you get Lynx Africa for £1, right? Here, it costs about £3.50. That gives you a general idea of price. Bar of soap is 40p, yeah? Here in Dubai. I don't know what it's like in London. 'Cause I checked this after. I was
Yeah.
like, I watched the video. I was like, so anyway, this dude, bro, he goes, he said a bar of soap, one bar of soap costs, I can't remember, let's say 45p, and a shower gel costs £50. But the uses that you get out of a bar of soap is like 6 or 10x in terms of how the volume amount of times you can use it than a shower gel. So shower gel now cost 10 times the price and you get 1/10 of the use than a bar of soap. So it's like, if you do the maths, it's like times 20, like it's like a 200% increase. So he broke it down in that way, right? So when he broke it down that, I was like, wow. I said, not only that, but shower gel is, if anything, less intensive than a bar of soap.
Yeah.
Because bar of soap is like, I don't know, he broke it down but in some kind of like, I suppose like how much it cleans you or whatever, right? So he said the only thing that you're paying all of that extra money for is the convenience of that soap being liquefied.
Right.
So he said, I just can't. He goes, I'm just fine with using a bar of soap.
Yeah.
I have no issue. And so, but again, the guy's not stingy.
Yeah.
But
So-
it's just a thing that he's like, so the mentality of these other people is just actually quite inspiring.
You know what it is? I feel like it's the principle here. We've got the principles right, which
Principle,
is
yeah.
just don't care just be self-aware and don't care what other people think about who you actually are. Because that guy, I don't know who it is, he's probably got a sick car. Yeah.
He eats out all the time.
Yeah, it's probably
And like
eating
if
sick
it
meals.
was Alex Hormozy, he eats out. They never cook.
Exactly.
He goes, I always eat out.
So you'd think, hearing that first story, you think, oh, this guy's like a stingy guy.
Yeah.
But he's not. Really, it brings him some sort of pleasure to do those sort of little calculations.
Yeah, it's not a problem for him.
Exactly. He enjoys doing that. He enjoys the fact that he's optimized that part of his life. Yeah. It's not really about money. It's about his like psychology. He likes that thing he's done that. But his car is sick. And if you went up to him and said, he said the whole soap thing, why don't you just buy like a worse car and you can get the shower soap? He'd be like, what are you on about? Like, car's so important. Like, you need a great car. This car does X amount of seconds. Like, that would be so important to him. So he spends there. So it doesn't really matter what you're spending on or cutting back on, really. Whether a shower gel.
It's the principle, yeah.
It's just a principle. Get the principle right, which is self-aware of who you are, what you like, and don't really care about that much, which gives you your separation between, I want to spend here, don't care about this. And you're like 90% of the way there. Now you just do what you want to do. Instead of, oh, I've got to look amazingly rich, so I've got to spend on all these things. I've got to get sick shower gel. I've got to have the Armani shower gel, so I'm smelling amazing all the time. I've got to have the best car even the best car I can't even afford because I'll get on a payment plan. I've got to have the sickest clothes. I've got to eat out every day. I've got to get 2 coffees every day because my work colleagues will like look down on me otherwise. It's like, no, you don't even like coffee. Just don't do that. You don't even like this. Don't do that. And then spend it where you like
why
it.
buying a coffee?
Yeah.
Because the way I think, which is flawed, is like, dude, even if it costs £3.50 for a bottle of shower gel, I'm sure when you're doing your shopping list, your food shop, your grocery shop, when you're paying at the till and it costs £150 for that week's shop, I'm sure you're not thinking, oh, I'm glad it's 150 because if it was £153.50, like, it would have been too peak. So the point is that he can probably afford that £3.50 for that shower gel and never even sweat it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he can.
Yeah.
But it's the principle. Yeah, you're right. So I started thinking, how would I like? Where are the departments where I would like to deploy money where I can spend on a quote unquote luxury desire, and where do I want to be more strict with myself?
Right.
So who is Faisal in his true authentic self if he's not thinking about what people think? That's what I started thinking about. So I was going, all right, I would like to spend money or not be frugal.
Right.
And I like the word frugal because frugal basically means that frugal is stingy has a negative connotation.
Yeah.
Frugal means you're clever with money.
Yeah.
You don't spend stupidly. Stingy is you're so concerned with your money that you're I think being stingy is probably like one of the most horrible traits a person have.
Yeah.
I think there's actually something in Islam about like being
For sure.
it's like having like closed fists. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if anybody of the people in the comments could write can find that. There's something in Islam about like.
There's multiple. I think there's I can't know off the top of my head. But there's multiple evidences from both Quran and Sunnah.
Yeah, they even start like the upper hand is better than the lower hand, so like so it's good to give. Anyway, so I was thinking about like what departments would I like to deploy the money. So I was thinking where I would like to not spend money
Yeah.
is, and I hope I can stick to this. And I think one day, I think people might like quote this episode back. So I like, and be like, oh, I thought you said you'd never do that, and now you're doing it. I can imagine that happening, but I'm just gonna say how I feel right now. Right now, I feel like I don't need to spend money on a luxury car.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, because a car's not that much of a fitner for me. Like my whole life in the UK, since I passed that 17, I've been driving an Astra. Astra's a nice car. I'm not saying oh, look at me, woe is me, I'm driving an Astra. But I'm saying like I never was like that guy who's like, oh, I've got to get a BMW. All my friends like in high school and uni would like want to get like a Beamer, even if it was like I preferred having a good Astra than a really bad BMW, just because BMW. And you know, there's people in school that would like get like a $2,000 Beamer and fix it up, but it was like a really old one, but it's the fact that it was a Beamer, kind of thing. So anyway, I'll be content with not having like an Audi or Beamer or something like that, I think, right? So I'm trying to say to myself, that's a place where I do have a desire to get I'd love to get a Porsche Cayenne. I'd love to get a G-Wagon. I would love these cars, bro. But it's just a desire that's actually a bit of a weak desire. I would be fine with all that. So I would like to fight the desire to get like a nicer car. That's one. I'd like to fight the desire to spend on I think designer food. So what I mean by that is like if I'm going to the supermarket here and you can get like ice cream,
grown like cucumbers
kind of thing, like or like, you know, here ice cream, you know, the Halo Top ice cream, we used to have that a lot in the UK because in Asda it would be on sale for like £2.50. Here it's like £9 for Halo Top ice cream. So sometimes like, oh, Halo Top, wouldn't mind, let me just spend the £9 like one time because it's like I just fancy it, but that's just silly. So I'd rather buy the non-branded ice cream that's like way cheaper. So I want to be better at like those things. I want to fight the desires to get like branded foods that doesn't make a difference, like 7-Up. What's the point buying 7-Up when you could just buy the £1 Asda lemonade and it doesn't make a difference? So those kind of things I want to be better at. And then thirdly, designer clothes. The designer clothes really aren't really much of a fitner for me. Every now and again I'm like, oh, like that would be nice and stuff like that, but generally speaking, not really. Like I don't have that fit now of like wanting to buy designer clothes. And do you know what? Having your own merch actually really helps.
Yeah, I can imagine.
When you wear your own merch,
bit of a flex, isn't it?
It's not a flex, but it's like you don't feel like you that ego bit is out the window, because people, you wouldn't go, oh look, he's not wearing designer, and you wouldn't say, oh look, he's only wearing like really cheap clothes, because it's like, oh, it's merch, so it's like, you can't get away with it. Anyway, so they're the three departments that I feel like I need to be. I want to make sure I have great discipline on, and I want to check myself when I'm spending a bit too much on my car or spending a bit too much on like food that I can go alternative with. I want to check myself on, and I actually, this is probably controversial, but I want to also try and be better with spending money on food when I'm out. Like I do enjoy spending money on food outside.
What?
Yeah, like getting food out. But I do think I could be a bit more disciplined. Fine. Like, bro, I've been buying coffees since I've been here for 3 months, and someone said to me, oh, how much is a coffee here? And I was like, I don't even know. So I was like, you know what, let me go check. And so I paid for I've been buying coffees like most days out, and I finally checked the price and I clocked that I was paying £4.50 for Cortado. Now Cortado, bro, for those people who don't know their coffees, is the size of my pinky.
Yeah, small.
It's a small coffee. I'm paying £4.50 every time. I was going, you know what? As much as I love coffee, I should have coffee at home, because I've got a good coffee machine at home, and it costs me 55p to have a coffee at home versus £4.50.
Yeah.
And 55p is expensive for home coffee. So it's good quality home coffee.
Yeah.
But for outside coffee, it's cheap. So that's something also I want to be a bit strict on. Now, where I think that I want to not ever have to check myself on spending money, like, so I'll spend like, just because I'm happy to do so, or spend as much as I want, is first of all, generosity, like anything when it comes to something for others comfort. It's something like someone's landing at the airport, booking them a chauffeur to pick them up at the airport and take them to their house, because of the convenience of them just like landing at the airport and like getting home comfortably. So anything to do with generosity, generally speaking, I want to be like, my desire is to be like as giving as I can.
Yeah.
And the second thing I would like to spend a lot of money on, or not a lot of money on, but like I'm not gonna. I don't want to feel guilty about is travel.
Right.
So not necessarily first class or business class, but what I mean is like going for a branded hotel, for example.
Right.
Because when I'm in another country that I've not been in before, or I'm not familiar with it, I'd rather go for like a hotel from a chain that I know of that's international, than a hotel that I'm trying to save a bit of money on, and then I get like loads of issues, which I've experienced in the past. So I went to a country once, I booked like they said it was a 5-star hotel, it was a local hotel, 5-star. And bro, the water in the shower wasn't working, and it was like really dingy. Yeah. And you realize that in some countries, maybe they don't have like a system where they have to be accountable for the star rating that they're giving. Maybe it's easy to say you're a 5-star hotel. So then what we have to do what I end up doing in that hotel is I end up like cancelling it, and we end up booking the Radisson Blu. Because I was like, let's go for a brand that we know of, that internationally they have to hold a standard across their brand. Well, we went there, and the Radisson Blu maybe was even like a 4-star, 5-star, but it was just phenomenal. And so I don't want to feel guilty about like booking a half decent hotel. And when I say half decent, I mean like Hilton, Radisson Blu. I'm not even saying like Atlantis, for example. And then I don't know what else.
That's probably like your thing is, if you got to think about like what else, then that's one of those easy battles. Because if it's not at the forefront of your mind, then it's like, okay, that's not a huge thing for me then anyway. So I could probably just cut back.
Tech probably.
Fine. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, generally speaking, if I'm not researching this thing on my YouTube every day, I want to buy this product. If it's not like that, and I'm very rarely like that, then I don't really want it that much. So I won't there shouldn't be anything else to push me over the edge to spend a lot of money on anything unless I'm proper in on it. I love my coffee. I'm looking at buying some sort of coffee machine. So I'm like doing a lot of research around that. So the more things become like a big deal to me, the less guilty I feel to spend on it, because I try to win those other battles where it's like, it doesn't mean that much. Like you and me are the same on cars. You and me are the same on clothes.
I think you're better with the clothing than me.
I don't know. I thought we were about the same, to be honest. Right. Like I've gone very recently from like just wearing like ASOS t-shirts, which is like almost one of the cheapest t-shirts you can get in London. I think it's like £6 a t-shirt, something like that. And now I've like gone like just like one notch above, where it's like not much more expensive, but just better quality. Yeah, just so it lasts longer. Fair. But I've got no real desire, bro, to go and get like a whatever. Yeah,
like trainers aren't a fit for me.
Not for me. And we were talking about like, in London, I could have spent £100 on one pair of trainers, and I was kind of tempted. I was like, it would be nice. I've never really got this brand of trainer before. And it looks nice. I like it. But then over there, I saw, all right, I could get like 2 Adidas trainers, and they both look nice. And I like Adidas. I think they're very comfortable for like 60, both. And eventually I was like, bro, my desire for that £100 one is not that much. Yeah. It's a very small extra desire. And I got the £60 ones. Some people say, oh, you're just being stingy. But for me, it was like, it's just such an easy battle to win.
I remember the thing now that I wanted to spend and not feel good about spending money on.
Yeah.
Because there was something at the forefront of my mind, and I was thinking about it the whole time. And then when I came to speak about it, I forgot about it. It was, and I've always felt like this about this thing, perfume.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, like for some reason, I really like a good perfume for myself.
That's fair. That's fair, man. Yeah.
And the perfumes that I like are very expensive.
Okay. Yeah.
But when I buy that perfume, I do think to myself, I don't spend this level of money on most things.
Yeah, and you know, it reminds me of something else. Yeah, I was talking to somebody last year or year. I think it was like the first 6 months I was in Dubai. Yeah, and we made some friends, and they had 2 cars. Right, we've only got 1 car. They had 2 nice cars, mashallah. Right, and after a few weeks of like us spending time together, he was like, "Bro, you eat out a lot." He said to me, "He's like, you eat out a lot." Like he was maybe trying to advise me almost, right? Yeah. Which is fine. And I was like, yeah, like I enjoy eating out. And he's like, you get a lot of coffee, you eat out a lot. He was like, you know, don't you think it's a bit much, kind of thing. Like he didn't say that, but he's implying that. And obviously, I understood where it's coming from. But in my mind, I was like, bro, my 1 car is cheaper than it's like a quarter of the price of your 2. That's where I've just made a different decision. Yeah, we're both probably spending about the same amount of money.
And
in life.
One's wrong, right?
No one's wrong. Yeah. That's where he loves to spend his money. Whereas they would eat at home like 99 times out of 100. He said like we've got some like very rarely we'd go out. Otherwise we'd eat at home all the time, and they enjoy that. So neither of us are wrong, but you've got a clock where it's like you can cut back here to spend what you really want. And he's done that for himself.
That's my point. I think my point is that a clever person balances by having things that they're fine with, but then they must then have discipline in another angle. And I never used to believe that. I just used to believe that that's how I have to be now. That's how people around me have to be now, because we don't have unlimited wealth.
Right.
But when I get unlimited wealth, inshallah, is what I was like kind of think. Like when I say that, I mean like when you're like so financially free,
Inshallah.
then actually you can. You don't have to have that balance. But what I've realized now is I've met some of the wealthiest individuals, and at their level they still have that balance. I'm going, oh, that's the right way of doing it. And bro, by the way, how many celebrities, sports stars, etc. do you see that at the peak of their career they had so much money and they absolutely hit rock bottom? I remember like years ago when Conor McGregor wasn't as big as he is now. But now obviously he's probably just got like loads and loads and loads of money, right? But I remember when his main income or his only income was from his UFC fights, and he was climbing the ladder and getting bigger and bigger. He would say that he would get a paycheck from a fight, and by the next fight, he spent all of his money, and most of it used to go on his suits.
Right.
And I used to think, wow, like this guy's living paycheck to paycheck, earning 50, 60 grand for a fight or hundreds of grand for a fight, but he's living paycheck to paycheck. That can't be good.
Yeah.
And it's not good.
It isn't there.
Yeah.
And that's probably the extreme of like, okay, let's not say, oh, he loves suits, so it's okay for him to spend his whole paycheck on suits. No, there's got to be a balance. But in your budget of whatever it is you're going to spend, just figure out what it is you really love to spend, and wherever the battle's easy for you to win it. Do you know,
so that's where I'm trying to be better.
Yeah, you know Ramit Sethi, innit?
Yeah.
Ramit Sethi. He's got the same. We're basically talking about his thing here, which is like.
No, I disagree.
You think so? But just this concept where it's like, because he says his thing that he loves is jumpers, right? You heard about that?
I've seen him. I know he's like. I actually messaged him once. He messaged back. So
okay.
So
sorry.
I'll speak to you about Ramit Sethi in a second.
All right. I didn't know you.
Oh, you mean Ramit?
Yeah. What? Big R. Yeah. Yeah. But his thing is like he loves jumpers. Yeah, like sweaters. He says.
Okay,
like,
fine.
Yeah. So
that makes sense because he's always wearing sweaters.
He's like, oh, I don't mind spending $600. I was like, what? $600 on a sweater? I didn't even know that thing existed. Yeah. But yeah, he loves that, right? Obviously he's rich. Yeah. But he loves that, right? But he probably again. Maybe he won't eat out, like he'll eat out once a month. So like he's probably not spending mad money really. He's spending the same money as other people, but he's just chosen where his real joy comes from. And where it doesn't come from is just like it's not that deep, because he doesn't care what people think that we're not eating out or my car isn't sick, because that doesn't really do much for me. It's the sweaters that does it for him.
So I disagree with Ramit.
I didn't know you knew him personally, so maybe I got him totally wrong.
I've only messaged him once and he was like, thanks. So okay, so what we're talking about is not, I don't think it is Ramit Sethi's finance plan, because where we are kind of on the same level with Ramit Sethi right now. So for those of you listening who don't know who, I just got to be conscious of your time. You've got to leave.
That's fine, I've got some time.
What's the time? Oh, okay, cool. So
you talk about Big Ramy.
So basically, right, those of you who are listening who don't know who Ramit Sethi is, basically he's a finance guy in America, and he's good friends with like Tim Ferriss and stuff like that.
Yes.
He's quite famous. So initially, when I heard his episode with Tim Ferriss, I was like, this is the guy, right? And I started consuming loads of his content. I messaged him on Instagram. I was like, hey man, I'll actually find the DM, like what he said to him. I was like, something like, hey man, I listened to your episode. I spoke about it with our followers on Freshly Grounded as well. Like, you know, a lot of us resonate with it. Like, thanks, something like that. And he replied, he was just like, thanks, something. He was like, very, like, he has some things where he always replies to. Oh, I was like, if you, I would love to have you on the podcast. And he goes, I have to pass, but thanks for thinking of me. I'm flattered. So, that was the only conversation I've ever had with him. He basically rejected me. And now I hate no. So basically, right, so now I'm giving you questions of who Ramit Sethi is. His finance thing, which I was initially obsessed with, and it's part of it I'm still obsessed with. The part of Ramit Sethi's finance plan, which I love, is that he says that when that everybody should have a money system. I 100% agree. And that even changed my life and how I manage my money, bro. And he said that if most people were randomly given $10,000 out of nowhere, like something happened, someone died and it turned out that they had you in their will for $10,000 or whatever, you randomly get $10,000. Most people, if you say to them, what would you do if you had $10,000 right now? They would go, oh, I'd go on a holiday, I'd buy a new car, I'd pay off my bills, etc., etc. And he said all of those are the wrong answers. The only right answer, if I said to you, is if you had the $10,000 right now, what would you do with it? The only right answer is it would go in my money system.
Right.
And what he does is he said your money system should be a thing where it's all set up, and if $10,000 comes in, it filters into the money system. Oh, that's amazing. So you're ready for those kind of things. And he said a money system is like, for example, things like when you get money in, X amount goes into paying off debts or whatever, or like you have like step one is paying off my debts. So let's say my money system is step one, pay off all my debts. So if I get $10,000, because that's step one, I haven't achieved step one yet, so it all goes into step one. So all that $10,000 goes into my debts are now clear. All right, step two is that I want to build an emergency fund. All right, cool. So I get $10,000, I want to build a 2-month emergency fund, which is $4,000. So $4,000 of it goes to my emergency fund. I've now got $6,000. Where does that go? I think that's an amazing answer.
Yeah.
Everybody should have a money system. You must have a money system. So I agree with him on that. Where I disagree with him, humbly, because he's a money expert and I'm awful with money, but is his concept is, he's got a book called I Will Teach You to Be Rich, which I had bought and listened to. His concept is, enjoy your wealth. Don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah.
Don't be like, oh, like I'm going to try and save like a little bit of money here and stuff like that. And that's where I think I disagree with him, because the whole thing that we spoke about on this podcast is there's small parts, there's small wins you can get financially where like if a shower gel is not a fitner for you and you can spend 10x less money and it's not even an issue for you, like then why not?
Yeah.
His thing is shower gel is more convenient. I don't care. It's the £3.50.
Yeah.
Why am I sweating over £3.50 decision?
I'm slightly torn on it. I feel like when he says that he's talking to people who are a bit more wealthy than us as well. Like, because he's got a new podcast where he kind of like wealthy couples usually call in.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's really interesting. And they will tell him about their like money arguments and stuff.
I want to listen to that. What is it called?
Really, I don't even know, but search it. It's really easy to find.
It might be called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. That's
Possibly. So anyway, point is, there's a one where I listened to it and it's like, these guys had like they were worth as a couple $9 million, right? So they were set, they were fine. They had properties, they were fine. But the man, the husband would go grocery shopping online and he'd have like one tab open for like Amazon grocery, whatever it's called, Amazon groceries. Amazon Fresh, Whole Foods, and another one, right? He had 3 tabs and he's comparing the blueberry price.
Okay,
right?
fine.
And he's like, this one is $2 cheaper. And his wife was basically complaining, saying he literally spends an hour doing this when it could just take like 10 minutes. And Ramit Sethi was like, you're nuts to do that. As someone's got 9 million in the bank.
That's the Ramit Sethi thing to say.
Yeah, he said, you are crazy to do that. And I do agree with that. At that point,
I think I do agree with that.
Like even the whole shower gel, Alex Hormozy, whoever it was, I kind of, in a way, unless it brings you great enjoyment to optimize like that, just simply because if it's not coming from a stinginess aspect, it's more just like, I like to optimize, then fine, I can understand that. But if it's more just like, oh, I'm so scared of like spending extra $1 on blueberries because like I just want to keep my money, I do think that's silly. I do think that's nuts.
I agree with you. I think that there's a difference though. I think like with the shower gel Alex Hormozy thing, if it even was him, his decision's made. It's like, oh, I just buy soap instead of shower gel. So when he's on Amazon Fresh, he's just selecting, but he's not comparing the price of soaps now.
Fine, yeah.
So I think that is
different,
extreme,
yeah. So the fact this guy was spending like an hour choosing between blueberries and stuff is nuts.
I agree.
For him specifically because he was so rich.
But I think Ramit Sethi's advice works for people who are extreme on one end.
Yeah.
I think because I'm extreme on the other end, where I'm a spender, his finance plan is not good for me to listen to.
Probably
because
not.
he goes, it's okay to spend money on things you enjoy, and I'll go, oh, Ramit says fine, and you can still be wealthy. I'm going to go out and like get starters, mains, and desserts from like this restaurant instead of just going to the cheaper restaurant.
Right.
Like, it's not good for me.
Yeah.
So that's why I've consistently enjoyed Dave Ramsey's mindset the most, because his mindset, he goes, you want to live like no one else now so you can give like no one else later.
Right.
I do think there's a bit of a flaw in it. I think you should give from day one, because we believe that Allah is the provider and that you don't lose wealth by giving for his sake.
Yes.
But general principle of what Dave Ramsey is saying, I think, is good. And he also, like, a more practical version of it, which I do agree with, is he says, drive like nobody else now so you can drive like anybody else later. So drive a banger now so that later you can buy your dream car.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a sick idea. Like, or eat like nobody else now so that you can eat like anybody else later. So instead of going to a restaurant every single day, if you eat your home cooked food, then, and you're putting your money into your money system, then when you're like debt free, you got 6 to 8 months emergency fund savings, and you've paid off your house and so on and so forth, now you can use your income to actually go out every single day if you want, or you can buy a nicer car because you put in the work early so that the money went into your finance system. And your finance system should have an end goal. Like a good finance system, I think, is like a mix between a few of that, Dave Ramsey, Ramit Sethi, stuff like that. It's like the one that I found the most effective is the first 3 steps of Dave Ramsey's I can't floor, which is step 1, save a $1,000 emergency fund. So that's like, if anything goes wrong, you always have that on you. If anything goes wrong, before even paying off any debts, like your car breaks down and you need to change the engine, you literally can't get home, that's an emergency. Costs 250 quid, you don't even have 250 quid. You should have $1,000 emergency fund. Step 2, pay for your debts. Now, that changes Islamically if you have debt that has interest, obviously, because if you have a debt that has interest, seek Islamic advice. But I'm pretty sure that, because that's a haram debt, like, you got to give it that ASAP. But anyway, assuming you don't have debt that's interest, right? Step 2, he says, pay for your debts. Have a debt snowball. So he says, start with the smallest debt and work your way up to the largest. And even that sounds weird. He said that, like, it's not a money issue, it's a psychology issue. You're not broke because you're not good at maths, you're broke because you have a spending issue. And he says, so psychologically, when you pay off one debt, you get motivated to pay off another one. So start with the smallest steps and grow out. So now if you complete your first 2 steps, now you have $1,000 in the bank emergency fund and you have no debt. So you're now back to 0 on debts and you have $1,000 in the bank emergency. Bear in mind, you still got consistent income coming in from your job. Step 3 then is to build a 6 to 8 month emergency fund. So that is, if you just randomly lose your job, a recession happens, COVID happens, so on and so forth, and you lose your job, for 6 to 8 months, you're good. So whatever your salary is, let's say your salary is $3,500 a month, or let's make it way simpler. Let's say your salary is $2,000 a month. 6 months is $12,000. So save $12,000. So now save a real emergency fund, sorry. So that $1,000 emergency fund was temporary. Now save a real emergency fund, 6 months money. Now you got no debt and you got 12k in the bank. That 12k doesn't get touched. That 12k is if you lose your job for 6 months, you can carry on living your life with this lifestyle. You've bought yourself 6 months to find a new job. And you're good. Nothing changes. Then after that, I stopped kind of listening to his steps because it starts going to like mortgage and investing in like these funds, and this is all haram stuff like with interest. So
I like Dave Ramsey. I used to listen to him a lot as well.
He's changed a bit now. He's a bit like, his podcast has become a bit more like life advice and stuff. So it's a bit less like.
Fine. It used to be just pure finances.
Pure finance.
Yeah, he's good, man. I listen to him, Ramit Sethi. I feel like I've taken bits from all of them.
How were you introduced to Ramit Sethi?
That's a good question. It could have been from a Tim Ferriss show because he's been on there a few times over the years, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it could have been from that. I'm not sure. Could have been YouTube. No idea. He's quite popular.
Yeah.
He's been on a few podcasts. I was also been on My First Million podcast, which is a sick.
Oh, you told me about that. Yeah.
You should listen to that podcast, bro. You'd love the podcast. It's all about business ideas.
Yeah, I'm gonna listen to it.
A little bit of financial advice. Not really. It's more just like brainstorming business ideas. Oh, this new business is sick. They're just like anything that new is like new trends happening. They'll just like bring it up and discuss it. But yeah, you'd love that. But yeah, I think what you said is I agree with it, man.
A lot of what Alex Hormozy says as well recently has resonated as well, because he says things about money like. He says things about money like, what was it, bro? This thing that I mentioned yesterday is like, he kind of like slept on his gym floor even though he could afford rent, because it was like, it wasn't an issue for him. Obviously, like, things change when you get married and your family and stuff like that. But he kind of has a similar mentality because he flies private and or JSX, which is basically private.
Yeah.
And
but bro, he doesn't have shower gel though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Can you imagine that you're on your private jet, but we don't have shower gel on a private jet? Don't be silly.
Bars of soap.
Yeah.
I've got my bar of soap in my bag. Yeah. No, but now obviously he's got like, his whole thing is like, I've got $100 million, like acquisition.com, whatever. Someone made a really funny video about him. They were like, have you watched any of his videos?
Not really.
Oh, at the beginning of all his videos, he has this like really cool one-liner, which I like. He's like, if you don't know. The AC is drying on my throat, man.
Just turn off.
Yeah, it's drying on my throat. Where's the remote? Why don't you just keep the remote on you? It's a wireless remote, you know. Yeah. So
I'll tell you why, because whenever I put anything here, after the podcast, you're like, bro, can we not put things on the table?
Yeah, because the table looks bad like when it's got things in it.
I can put it down here, it's fine.
No, you can put it here, to be fair.
Go on.
Bro, place it right there. No, joking. So anyway, he has this one liner which is like, if you don't know who I am, I'm Alex Hormozy. I've got nothing to sell you. He's like, I'm Alex Hormozy. I've done $100 million in acquisition.com and I have nothing to sell you. I just make these videos because a lot of people are broken. I don't want you to be one of them. Which I think is a really good opening line that uses in one of his videos. But someone made like a short. They're like, it was like, you know, Alex Hormozy, I've got nothing to sell you. 100. Like he just started mocking it, but it was quite funny. But yeah, anyway, I've been enjoying his videos over the past few weeks, right? And he made a video about sleep, and he made a really good point that I liked. And I think this can be used for anything in life. He said we need to stop telling ourselves things that like are just causing us psychological barriers, basically. And so he said statements like, I can't function without my morning coffee. A statement like that, he said the problem with that statement is that you then ruin your whole day because you've convinced yourself that without your morning coffee you can't have a good day. And now he said, what if one day you're out or you're traveling and you're at a hotel and you don't have your morning coffee, in your head you're like, my whole day's ruined. Yeah. And so he was saying relating to sleep, like, I can't sleep. If I don't sleep, if I'm not in bed by 11, I'm like the next day I'm ruined. He said, then when you tell yourself these things, you're setting yourself up for failure, essentially. So I thought that's quite a good point, and it can be related to most things in life, because when you start going, oh, bro, like, unless anything, bro, like, you just don't want to set yourself up for failure with your mindset by saying things that you don't need to say, I guess.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense, man. Like some people say, "Oh, I need 8 hours," or like next day is like I'm horrible. So you get 7, like your day's ruined. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Kind of thing, yeah.
It makes a lot of sense, actually. I like that. Yeah.
I don't feel confident until I've got a haircut. Which is truth to it.
Yeah.
But you're about to ruin the most important interview of your life because you ain't got trim.
Yeah.
Fix up.
Yeah. I mean, bro. On that note, first night we met, we were both looking rough without our haircuts.
Yesterday.
Yeah. No, we both had our haircuts yesterday, but the day before. Yesterday. We first met up. Like I had my hat on.
But I do agree. Like there's certain things about confidence. Like I think that when you dress in a certain way, you have more confidence. When you have I love to make sure I've got a haircut before like an important meeting and stuff.
Yeah, of course.
But I'm just saying like I do need to make sure I'm not giving myself like these closed statements of I'm gonna bro. Like a big thing for me would be like, let's say for example the camera that you can see that you're watching the podcast on, that's the camera that I use as my webcam. Right. So you can imagine my meetings are like 4K, right?
Yeah.
So I've convinced myself that if I like don't have, let's say for example I'm out and I don't have that camera with me or something, and I have to use my like laptop webcam, I'm like, oh, like this is gonna be like I'm not giving a good first impression, and the meeting's gonna go bad. So these kind of statements I need to be careful of telling myself.
Yeah, bro. As a last sort of thing to discuss here, because we also spoke about like grind and hustle culture. Yeah.
Yesterday.
Yeah. Where do you think like that should be on people's scale? Because we're talking about the whole like because we said like you have a money system, yeah. You should be sort of building wealth, isn't it? So let's say for example you're cutting back on this, you're cutting back on that, so you can spend on things you enjoy. But at the same time, there should be. Do you agree with me? Should there be this underlying tone of I'm cutting back on these sort of smaller desires, but really it's with the goal of okay, I'm going to hustle, I'm going to grind, grow my wealth with this money system as well, to get to a position where I can spend on all of them if I want to. Where do you feel that scale should be for people? Like, okay, I'm going to grind or I'm not going to grind. Should people be grinding to build, or should it just be more of like a system where it's like your income comes in, you've got a system and you build wealth that way? Like, for example, I'll give you a practical example. Someone's got 9 to 5. Is your general advice to someone with a 9 to 5, like have a 9 to 5 and then also launch a side hustle? Is that your general advice to most people?
I think I'm too inexperienced in life to comment on that right now, because I think I would have commented on that a year ago.
I disagree, but go on.
No, but I think I would have commented that a year ago, but now I feel like I'm in a position where I don't know the direction of my own life at the moment, because I've moved out here. I don't know where I'm going now. I've been approached with some opportunities that would mean that I would be going back into employment, which I'm like, okay, maybe. I've been like for the last 3 years sustaining myself freshly grounded. Now we're not doing live events, so it's like is freshly grounded something that can continue to sustain me? And so now I've gone into I'm in a world right now, but I don't know. I'm like looking at different opportunities. We've got this agency. Do we just take on marketing clients and stuff like that? So the reason I'm explaining that context is because if I was to, for example, accept an employment, then I suppose I, being me, would want to make sure that I'm giving my absolute all to that.
Yeah.
And therefore maybe I would advise, because I'm not in that position right now, so maybe I would advise actually don't do the hustle culture. Or maybe I would say, yeah, if you're doing business, do the hustle culture. I don't know. I think I need to get through this short phase that I'm in life and come out the other end and go, oh, okay, like that's how I'd maneuver that situation.
Yeah. I'll depersonalize it. So like rather than make it about you and me specifically, I think the reason why it can make a lot of difference to some people, let's say some people do struggle with like, I don't really want to cut down on any of my stuff. Like, I really like my life. I know I'm having, maybe they're in debt or whatever. But if you say to yourself, look, I'm going to have this money system. I'm going to pick the top 2 things that I like to only spend money there, and I'm going to cut down a lot or be frugal elsewhere. If you have this like, and I've got my 9 to 5, which is bringing in, let's say again, $2,000 a month. But if you have that hustle where it's like that hour to 2 hours of thing that you're doing, even every day or every week, where you're trying to build whatever it is, a newsletter, a small business, agency, it gives you that drive where it's like, I'm building with my 9 to 5, and I'm also, almost like shooting for the stars with this thing where it's like, if it blows, then all the places where I'm like, kind of struggling to be frugal, that is my potential avenue to get to like have all the stuff that I want, basically. So I think that could make it easier for people to actually be frugal, because it's like, they might look at their $2,000 coming in. It's end goal. Yeah. And there's a sort of, if it's written for you, you're doing the means, you're tying your camel to get to the place where it's like, yeah, you can, if you want to now, spend on all these different things, if you genuinely want to do that, So I feel like having that thing, you don't have to work yourself to the ground. Like, I don't think that's a good thing. Like this whole hustle grind, like I'll sleep for 2 hours a night or whatever. I don't think that should be the case. But I do think people should have some sort of side project, side hustle. Even if it's like an Instagram page they're trying to grow, where it's like, it could become something big, could not, but I'm trying it to see what happens. It gives you a different sort of dimension to your life, where it's like, I've got a plan to really enjoy my life if it's written for me to have like a lot of money. And I think that can make it easier in the short run to be frugal.
Yeah, it's a very valid point.
Yeah,
it's a very valid point.
Yeah, that's just what I feel.
I just don't know if I know people who have, like I have uncles who have 9 to 5, and it's a good 9 to 5, and they have no desire to. The thing is, they don't have to be frugal with their 9 to 5, so maybe that's the difference.
Right.
Because their 9 to 5 earns them a good amount of money.
I'm talking about people here where it's like, which is unfortunately like a lot of people now, especially with the whole inflation thing, where it's like they're living paycheck to paycheck.
Fine.
Do you know what I mean? Especially in America.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially in the US, where it's like, whereas the US is like, I literally, they can only save like $50 a month because they've got so much expensive. In that case, it's like,
if they're not in their end career already.
Yeah,
fine.
Yeah, I feel like having that side thing is like, okay, this is my, almost like my, what's it called, pressure valve.
Yeah.
The pent up like frustration of not being able to get those designer trainers because you're having to sort of prioritize your spending, that pent up frustration or pressure of that goes into this, because here's like, if I grind on this for like 6 months, 12 months, I could have a lot of extra income where I can just like relax a lot more. Whereas if you don't have that release pressure valve, I feel like you could be frugal for a month or two, but you just collapse and you think,
I agree.
Forget it.
I agree.
I may as well just do it. I may as well go into debt and get that, because like, what's the point? I'm not building enough wealth anyway. So yeah, I feel like that's a little bit of a cheat code, where it's like, even if it doesn't work, you're channeling that sort of, not frustration, but you're channeling that energy into something that could come back with like a lot of income for you.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Bi'idhnillah.
It was a good episode, bro.
It was alright.
Yeah, I enjoyed that episode. Good. It was nice to have an episode about a topic.
One thing some of my friends have been telling me is we should have more topics, as in like a structured topic episode.
That's fair. I'm not. Maybe our episodes can be like that.
Maybe we could. There's
one thing we need to do is timestamps.
Yeah, that's really important.
I need to message. I'm going to message our copywriter. I'm going to ask if
The one reason I'm kind of against the whole like specific topic is I do enjoy going on tangents as well. I do enjoy having that thing where we just go on tangents. We didn't do that much this episode because we did sort of have a topic.
Yeah, maybe topics things are better.
Yeah, but maybe like 2 or 3 topics. I do enjoy going on tangents and like telling a story here and there.
So do I. But we can do that within the topics as well. I think maybe the episodes of me and you are topic based, but episodes of me and Sam are conversation based.
And even if they're not, I feel like, you know, for example, when we had the first one back, or it's just like Fresh Ground is back, I feel like for a lot of people, people told me, it throws them off, where it's like, I'm not sure what I'm watching for. Whereas with the one you did recently with Cairo, you actually set out, we spoke about this, and this. You have like 3 things in the title, right?
Yeah.
So you can still have like an off-the-cuff conversation, but in the title, it should be like said.
This one I'm going to title something like the episode about money or something.
Yeah, money management episode, whatever, something like that. Just so that they know what they know what they're sort of there for.
Yeah, but timestamps help with that.
Timestamps help with that as well. But yeah, for people who are like new to FG and they're not like invested in like, oh, okay, I love listening to Faisal. They want to know what they're listening to before they start listening, if that makes sense. And yeah, timestamps are a big thing. But I feel like the title, having it in the title, would be a help. People have told me that. Like, I'm not thinking it. People have told me that. Multiple people.
Or are you just thinking it?
I'm thinking it, Faisal, yeah.
Yeah, we'll work on that, man. Kaya, thank you so much, bro. Let's catch up, inshallah, next week.
Inshallah.
And also, for those of you who are listening, if you want to get more of this or the continuation of the discussion, head over to freshlyground.com/inner circle, where you get an extra episode of the podcast with me and Kaya every single week. That's 52 weeks in the year, not 56.
Yeah, that is 52.
52 weeks of the year where you get an extra episode of Fresh Grounded.
Jump into the inner circle, guys. Yeah. Join us.
Please.
Make that circle bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take care, guys. We'll see you next week, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.